Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day, my oh my, what a wonderful day. Plenty of sunshine heading my way. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day. Hi, my name's Bob Greenyer, and I'm a volunteer with the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project. So welcome to O-Day, new dawn of an old age. Thank you for joining me this 6th of March 2023. And can you guess where I am in that image? Why is that significant? Yes, Alex de Castello. Yes, I'm in the pyramid. I'm in the gallery, the Grand Gallery. Not in the King's Chamber. No, that's a short distance away. Where specifically am I? I'm in the Great Pyramid. I'm in the Grand Gallery. Where specifically am I? What I have to share tonight, I would like everyone to do their hardest to find critique with. It literally has the chance to completely change civilization. It's unimaginable honor. Thank you to everyone who've helped the project go forward, who've encouraged it, who've supported it in whatever way, whether that be research or whatever. Egypt will have a choice. Do they want to lead the world? Or do they want to think they've got an old tomb? This device that I am standing in has already provided previous generations of humans with unimaginable power. It can again. We do not need to use the Lena-generated oil and gas, the old crushed trees of coal. We do not need to kill whales or chop up birds with wind turbines. We do not need to pollute the ground with solar panels. We do not need to flood the rainforests, producing huge amounts of methane with hydroelectric dams. Yes, D2105K. Power is flowing through me there. Yes, WP for truth. It's solid state power. I think it will be incredibly obvious how this works. And actually, the full picture didn't even become clear to me until the day after I actually trailered that I was going to state this. Because new data came out on the 2nd, but I didn't see it until it was published on the 3rd or 4th or whatever, out of the Scan Pyramids project. You can have a different opinion about how to work with nature. You can even have a really, really, really good argument. But there are rules. And the rules are based on the sacred geometry. There's no way around it. Every single thing you do to try and be better than that will be false. We need to understand it and respect it. So I'm going to wait until a few more people have come in the room. I'm going to pull up a couple of things that I want to talk about. I think the first thing is to bring up something which is in relation to what we've just been talking about. And that is, we were just talking about the monopole, weren't we? And that, I believe, I may be wrong, but I believe that the structure of the monopole is as I have described. And I think it's a better description than the synthetic monopole that was published in Nature in 2014. And I do not believe it's an invention. It's not. It's nature. This is our birthright. It is just a realization. And it's a realization of what so many people have been putting in our faces our entire lives. This structure, in my view, is this structure. And I think you'll know that implicitly by the end of the day. But you may have seen this before. I think it's Michael Tellingham. I don't know. But he claims that in South Africa, on a very hard piece of stone that would take hundreds of thousands of years to weather to the condition that it's in, there is a petroglyph, a small one. And it looks like this. And do you know what it's got? It's got an ankh inside a sphere producing glowing rays. This may be hundreds of thousands of years old. Hundreds of thousands of years old. And I've already told you that a ball lightning produces light if it gets excited. That's our structure. Remember, the arms are where the tori are. This is where the Sussex triangle is, and this is where the etheric matter is, the dark matter. So we have our dark matter bit above, we have our arms, we have our Sussex triangle, and we have our light rays coming out. Michael Tellinger. Yeah, okay, Corky, thank you. So, hi, WP for Truth, Corky, Baron, Arcanus, Terran Earthling, Gordon Freeman's associate. Hi, Rob, Ret Oracle. Hi, D2105K. Hi, EBB, Martin Kemp. Artifact, Alex de Castillo. Okay. We've got a reasonable quorum in the room. We've got 33. Let's begin with 33. Why not? Let's start with 33. Hi, Zero. Hi, Space Case. Hi, Creating Awareness. Hi, Cosmic Dave. Oh, no, it's gone down to 32. I've got to let someone else come in the room. John Watson. So, yes. I believe that we have proved conclusively the correct model of the monopole, at least at a basic level. I didn't go into actually the extra fractals. Maybe I'll do a little bit of that at the end. But this is the basic structure that we need to really focus on today. And that this could have been scribbled on this rock by some kid who you know, knew his stuff. And probably shouldn't have done this, but he did. And there it is. It's down through the ages. Long, 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 long before the first dynasty. And it is the same thing. Okay. The sacred geometry. Yes, we're back to 33. Right, I think we can start again. Right. Okay. I need to open. Now, I am concerned that there has been an orchestrated burning of the books, as it were. It first started in Afghanistan, and then it went into Iraq, where they emptied the museums. It's been going on in the Yemen, in Syria. If they could get into Iran, it would happen there as well. It's going on in the Slavic countries, principally in Ukraine right now. But whilst everyone was sleeping through the sniffles, more of this was going on in one of the countries that had some of the best artifacts. And it's shocking. I don't know really what more you can say about that, but very, very, very shocking what has been going on. So let me see if I can find what I'm talking about. So I'm talking about a place in Armenia. And the pyramidal structure or triangular structure that I believe that was in my dreams and that I drew so many times may have been this, which I drew throughout my childhood. And this is in Armenia, and I found this for the first time last night. Okay. Actually a different angle shot of this. It was great that the Masons took it upon themselves to encode this information to pass through the generations to where we are now. However, I will say that there is a systematic destruction of some of the best artifacts out there. And it's just lucky that you guys have worked so hard and we've got somewhere before they could completely erase the knowledge of the previous times. The deliberate mass extermination of Armenian cultural heritage took place through the 20th century. Most of Western Armenian cultural heritage, churches, monasteries, monuments, were vandalized according to the official list submitted to the Turkish government by the Armenian Patriarchate of Constantinople in 1912-13. The number of Armenian churches and monasteries throughout the Ottoman Empire exceeded 2,000, including unique early Christian monuments of the 4th and 5th centuries. This is the period where they really knew how to codify this information. This is around the time when the Coptic Christians recorded that very accurate document on which number 10's front door is based. Most of the monuments were looted, burned and destroyed in the early 20th century during the genocide organized by the Turkish authorities. In 1974, UNESCO stated that after 1923, out of 913 Armenian historical monuments, 464 have vanished completely, 252 are in ruins, and 197 are in need of repair. This hasn't stopped. It's a beautiful country. It has big open plains, but it has this amazing heritage which has been systematically destroyed. Okay? You can see these buildings with bullet marks all over them. It's not a good look. These monasteries and stuff where there's not a lot left, and so on. And I was discussing this, the genius of placing this important information and encoding it onto tombstones was that even in times of war, people still respect the dead. Like, you know, it's the dead aren't going to shoot back, right? So, you know, why get rid of them? Well, something much darker is going on and has been going on, and it's been going on for the last 100 years. Getting rid of the evidence that this technology existed. Okay? Now, it doesn't matter whether you believe in Christianity. You know, this is very Celtic what you've going on here. You've got these alternating vortices. We've seen this on the copper oxide and zinc oxide on the Vega Valley Eastern Plateau. You've got your disruption zone down here. You've got your knots and so on. You've got your fleur-de-lis at the edge. Look at these beautiful pieces of work. Just spectacular. Some of the highest class art of this type. You got your vortices with your tail. It's just amazing. And if you actually look at a lot of this stuff, it's been happening in 2019 and 2020. And it's so shocking what they've done. And so, you know, this is somewhere in 2020, explosion there. They've had to take these things off social media half the time. You know, you've got your grapes hanging off the top here. Here they're showing places where monuments were and where they've been destroyed. You know, you've got this fantastic structure here, destroyed. But where it gets really, really sick is where you see these historical cemeteries, right? So you've got the historical cemetery, and they've literally gone in and just destroyed the cemetery. Why? I believe it's because that shows the culture, and the culture, they've been passing this knowledge down. There's the whole cemetery there, destroyed. Okay? Another cultural site, destroyed. So, it's all hands on deck. You're going to have the tools. You're going to know precisely. I believe in the first presentation, we've categorically shown that this is a monopole. How it acts, why it acts in a certain way, and the things that it can do. It can literally turn matter and make it disappear. It can make lighter elements. It can make heavier elements. That's dematerialization and transmaterialization. And I believe that it can also synthesize matter from the ether as well. This is the God's toolbox. Okay. We don't have a lot of time. Okay. All right. We got 42. That's another good number to continue with. It's going to be a shorter presentation, this one, but probably more significant. So I had the pleasure of going to Karnak in December 2021 as part of an archaeological trip. And of course, other people are looking at certain things and I'm looking at other certain things. Okay. So, of course, I like the Acc here. I also like the fact that they've got two things either side and each of them have got two wings. Okay. And they are, one's pointing that way and one's pointing that way. You will see similar structures to this on some of the Armenian work. Okay. And if you look at the center line and follow the center line down from the Acc, you can see that we have a pyramid. And the pyramid has our vortex structure stylized because, of course, Karnak came a little bit later. And we have our center line down to the disruption zone down the bottom here in the pyramid. This is as tight as you can get it, actually. And I've actually overlaid that in our Photoshop so we can have a look at that. So here's our Karnak Acc. Okay. And you can see down to the bottom, the center line, and up to the top of the loop. Okay. And all of that is contained within the circle, the overall circle structure. Okay. I might model the zone, which will be like a, it's not like a sphere, it's like a pointy sphere. Okay. And directly below that was this. And so you can see that the very top of the pyramid comes to the top of the structure here, as it does here, as it will do on the overall circle. And down to the bottom, this structure comes down to the bottom line here. And the center line, the Chiro, the Chiro, the Chiro, Christ Center. So there we go. Now, the interesting thing that I like about this diagram is that the line that they draw from here down, they go just outside the vortex structure here. And down here and just outside the vortex structure here. And this is the main, where the main action occurs, okay? The D4D is in the white area and the Christ Center is in the white area there, okay? And we saw on the, remember what I said, the solenoid aligned, north-south solenoid structure aligned the, what I call the cauliflower in the Lion reactor. Okay. So that is that. Okay. It'll go quite quickly now. I need to set up modeler. Okay. All right. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Boom. Okay. My friends, we're standing here at the Chiro, the Chiro. Chi being the life force, and rho being the torsional flow of that life force. This is the Wikipedia image of the pyramid. I don't know if it's accurate, but it looks like it pretty much is. Okay, right. Now, what I've done is I've aligned the center line of the Vesica Pisces with the center line of the pyramid. Okay. And I have aligned the Chiro with the flat line of the King's Chamber, so-called King's Chamber. King's Chamber. Oh, you gotta laugh. Right? Anyway. Yeah, King's Chamber. And you can see actually the Queen's Chamber is slightly offset. I think that's not by coincidence. And that this is even more offset. And remember what I said. Remember what I said. In so many actual experimental examples, I've shown you the n-level Tor's disruption field comes in probably as a hyperboloid spiral. And so it's likely to be over there, not where the center is. The center becomes more relevant when you come to the n-1 Tors. Okay. All right. So this is what it looks with our cone. Okay. So it would be off center here. Okay. Now, I've got our golden ratio line coming up here. And when you center it like this, you literally cannot make this up. The main disruption zone is exactly and precisely bottoms out on the bottom of the Grand Gallery. Now, actually, to be fair, there's a little groove in the Grand Gallery here. And so the sides are a little bit higher than the inside edge. Okay, so there's still some flux going underneath there. Okay. The sphere itself has a little gap here. Okay. The line here, which I will show you in close-ups, is a couple of lines down, and it's dead in the center. You'll see this later. Okay. Now, the larger point, which we showed on the outside of the quartz, is precisely lines up with the roof of this chamber here, the so-called Queen's Chamber. Right? Over here, the outside side of this includes the so-called sarcophagi, right? And I do realize that if certain people can't go to Cairo because they don't agree with one particular Egyptologist's view, I'm probably not going to be able to go back to Egypt again, but so be it. The Egyptians themselves have got to ask, do they want to have the most advanced technology on Earth by slightly fixing what they already have? Or do they want to think, oh, it's just a tomb? Okay. All right. Now, this is the Visa-Pisces, okay, in the center there. And you will note that the entire King's Chamber and the vaults above are within the Visa-Pisces. You will note that the entire so-called Queen's Chamber is in the Visa-Pisces. But this isn't. This isn't, but this is in the disruption zone. Okay? So Visa-Pisces alone. Okay. And look at this. Actually, before we get to there, I want to remind you that in the fractal toroidal presentation, that firstly, this is our disruption of our two tors. This is the overall disruption area. And this is the central area of the right tor. This is the disruption zone down the bottom. And this is the diamond sheet in this circular area here. And as I'm saying, in this zone here, this is intense enough with the Amasa gas, which is HHO, a plasma from HHO. That means you have ionized charges, so you can lead to charge separation going on there. It's disintegrating. This is strontium. There's no strontium in the material. I think it's strontium. Anyway, this is a carbon sheath. It's only kind of like semi-halfway, but this will be producing oxygen, it will be producing carbon, and it will be producing protons. Okay? Whatever you give it. You could give it nail clippings. You could give it whatever. Conductive material will probably be better, but I don't think that's necessary. Whatever. Now, in this experiment with Henk Uren, we had one of our structures here. You can see this structure here and this same structure over here. Okay? And probably the disruption zone down here. But what this did was it actually put things into a wormhole, just as Matsumoto had shown. And then, if I show you the diagram, it goes into the wormhole at the center, and then it goes through something that is basically 0 dimension, the Planck's length, right? 10 to the minus 33 or whatever it is. And then it starts to spread out into a vortex and then deposits elements. Okay, so it goes through a wormhole. But it does disrupt the matter here. There is a little bit of disruption. Then it comes through and then it starts to splay out, and it actually knocks this material out. Okay, you can see here. So again, this is probably 2 structures here, and we got 2 structures here, and they're at an angle. Okay, we're going to see this all over. Okay, this is what I call the breaker, and the right side tor in the pyramid is the breaker. The left side tor is the maker, and it goes through the pyramid in a wormhole. Again, see it here? You can see the subtors here, the subtors here, producing the overall moment and the flux that goes through, like so, and comes through a wormhole and punches a hole through here. Okay. In this case, it's coming from one side round to the other side. This is the same structure as the monopole. I've talked about it before. And on the right side, the substructures of the substructures end up doing some transmutation later. This is the material breaking apart and going around and being made. Okay. And there's our two beams, and here's our two structures here that I was showing earlier. You can see a close up there. So, and you can see that it's at an angle. Okay, all right, that's enough of that. So, zooming in, we have our subtor here. So this is our n-2 tor. And you can see the disruption zone on here. And the fact that it's directly in the center. And the overall Sothic triangle base spans between, counting from the top, the third line down and the fifth line down. The inside of the tor is between the top and the bottom. Between the top line of the Grand Gallery corbelled walls and the first line. This one is slightly above. It's slightly above, and that is very, very important. Very important indeed. Okay. It's not guesswork. This is unimaginably precisely produced. Okay. Okay. So you can see maybe with a little bit more detail there. This is 90 degrees to the rising angle. Okay. That goes through our subtor. In fact, it's possible that the subtor one will be slightly offset there and slightly offset there, but it's fairly immaterial. But the level of precision in this is beyond all imagining. This is precisely the technology. It's like whoever built this knew exactly where everything had to go. Okay. All right. So this is your wheel. This is a wheel that's within a wheel, and that wheel is within a wheel. A wheel within a wheel within a wheel. Okay? A wheel within a wheel within a wheel. Are we getting it yet? A wheel within a wheel within a wheel. Right? Okay. Now, when I was standing there at the Chiro Centre, Christ Centre, I thought to myself, there's something weird going on with the roof and the walls. What's going on there? Now, I took a video. I didn't think too much of it. But when I was trying to look at the arrangement here, I went to look at, see if anyone else had noticed anything. And so I came across this paper called Examining the Grand Gallery of the Pyramids of Khufu and Its Features. And so there is our Grand Gallery and its features, blah, blah, blah. And in here, it's discussing the fact that there are 3 large granite blocks at the bottom. And in true Egyptologist speculation, and they are here down here, they speculate that these granite blocks, which they had to overcome with, this is where you go in on the tourists. I went down this tunnel here, and you climb over these granite blocks and you come up here. So these granite blocks are supposedly there. They put 3 of them in. 1 wasn't good enough. 2 wasn't good enough. They had to put 3, and they get increasingly big, right? For some reason, they put these in here. And the reason they put these in here was, when they buried the person that was never buried there, they decided to block him in, right? And even though they were still there, the person wasn't there. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay. All right. That's a reason. Bless them. Okay. All right. So they put some granite blocks there. So that document really is about the granite blocks. But I was looking through the granite blocks, and there was a reason I was looking for granite. And I thought, hold on a minute. Hold on a cotton-picking minute. What's this grey line here? What is this grey line here? And I thought, That looks like the weird thing that I saw and I took a video of. Anyway, so I'm going to get that for you. So this is my video of the Grand Gallery. They wanted to take my camera lens, and they were probably going to take my camera, and I said, nope, that's not going to happen. So that was a bit interesting. Firstly, there's an interesting brown angled mark on this roof here. And so this is my view, looking down, looking down, looking down, looking down, looking down. All right. And then coming down. Okay. Now, what am I interested in here? One, I'm interested in this corbelled roof, which like goes in and in and in and in and in. Okay, why would that go in? Just anyway, that's doing that. All right. Then secondly, on the roof, I notice this curved section with segments in it, and a slight bit outside that. But then the rest of the roof was all kind of clean, and I thought, well, you know, if they cleaned it, why do they clean it from here all the way up to here and then clean it differently here? Or if they didn't clean it, then why is this affected differently to all this down here? And then if you go back, there's kind of like a curve going that way and there's a curve going this way. It's a curve going that way and a curve going that way. Okay, fine. All right. Okay, that's interesting. And then inside those two curved sections, one here, okay, there is a line in this section here, and it kind of like, it's not just in that block, it kind of slightly spans over to here. Anyway, that wasn't the most interesting thing. The most interesting thing to me was, why did they cut a slot in here? And it kind of goes down, and the slot goes down, and the slot goes down, and the slot goes down, except looks like someone smashed this lot out. Why would they have done that? Why would they have... This looks like it's been hacked out in a hurry. Like really, really in a hurry. Smash this out, Why? Well, if I'd slotted something in here, between here and on the other side, because they like to do everything in mirrors over there, and in a lot of these ancient structures, it goes all the way down. So is that slot the thing that is being shown here, this grey line here? And what's the point? What is the point of that grey line? Okay. This is not an accident. It is not an accident. That grey line there is there for a reason. Where are we? Okay. Not that one. I don't need that anymore. Don't need that anymore. Okay. So it's, like I say, it's less accurate, my sacred geometry in my Photoshop, but we'll use it for this anyway. Oh, I don't know whether I have it. Did I take it out? Oh, I might have taken it. Oh no, there it is. There we go. Oh, I took it out. Did I? Yes. All right. Okay. Okay, I'm going to... Anyway, maybe you can see it. I will rebuild what I built, but I haven't got it here right now, so you'll just have to bear with me. Here, in this shot, maybe you can see it. If you go for 1, 2, 3, 4, So 1, 2, 3, 4. Where is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's not. It would do. His diagram's not quite right. I'm going to have to overlay this, but it's essentially this grey line here. It's better if I count it up from the bottom. You got the one large one and one large one, 2, 2, and then 3. Okay, 3. Okay, this grey line here where the slot is essentially exactly where the outside of this structure is here. So the grey line comes down here. Okay, I believe that is absolutely critical to the way this solid state device works. Okay, so the inside doesn't contact here, but it does because we know that this goes round in a phi ratio. So by the time it gets to here, this is actually further up. Okay, so there is a grey slot in which I believe something was slotted. Okay, and this torus actually would be closer to this edge here. And I believe that the curve here on the video is this curve here. Okay, that curve is the that curve there is the curve of this interacting with the roof, and the curve going the other way is this interacting with the roof, and the little bit here is the central bit in between here where this essentially skims that. This will be smaller on this side because of the phi ratio. Okay. So there will, I believe that in this slotway that runs down the entire length of the King's Chamber, there is something that was removed. Now, I'll come to what that is, I believe, a little bit later. But imagine you've got the most important technology on planet Earth, bar none. Bar none. You've got a vacuum engineering solid state device that is freaking big and works incredibly beautifully and is very simple once it's working. And it relies, and you've got someone invading. What happens when you have an invading force and they look like they're an enemy at the gates and they're going to come and steal your technology or whatever? The first thing you do is you have a standing order that even if the pharaoh dies, or even if the dude dies that knows how this works, you destroy X, Y, and Z. And you get it out of there, right? It's a standing order. I believe that if it wasn't the 800 AD earthquake that took off the casing stones, or maybe some other cataclysmic event, I believe that in a very big hurry, whatever was in this slot that ran down the length of the gallery was removed because it is critical to the function of the device. Critical to the function of the device. Absolutely may not work. It may work, but I don't think it will. Okay? So, like I say, it looks like this doesn't come down, but it actually is up there because of the golden spiral. Now, I will come here, and I will go into Photoshop this time, and I'll show you what I mean. So, as I said before, here's our line, and our grey line would be about here. And you can see that the slot line where the grey line would be would not interact with the other side of the n-1 tour. Okay. Now, the other interesting thing is that as you go down the phi ratio in the rotation around, okay, into the vortex, into the core, you would also reduce in size per rotation. And that is exactly what you see in the corbelled roof. It reduces in size. It goes up and it compresses in. Okay? That is what you are seeing as it's coming into the center of this structure. Okay? So now, remember what I shared with the Russians, and which is what the US Navy and Los Alamos National Laboratory got very excited about. They've had plenty of opportunity because I shared this last year. It's this. Okay? On this side, it's making lighter elements. Okay? On this side, it's making heavier elements. Okay? And what am I talking about? Well, let's go back to our images here. What I believe is happening is you put water in here. Water goes down the descending passageway all the way down into here, where, because this is the N Tor, not the N-1 or the N-2, it is the N Tor, and it is just a 2 subtor structure or 2 subtor fractal structure. The disruption spiral will be offset. It will be offset. Okay, so this area here is where the water will be disassociated, and hydrogen and oxygen will come along here inside this circle zone. Okay, and it will come along here and it will come up this ascending passageway. Notice that this is inside the sacred geometry. It will come up here and it will come into this chamber. Hydrogen will rise into this chamber. Oxygen will stay in this chamber. Hydrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, oxygen. Okay? Hydrogen, as I told you in my Azizi presentation last year, according to the work of Shishkin and Kurolz, who are nuclear scientists that worked at Dubna Science City, north of Moscow, hydrogen isotopes are 2,000 to 4,000 times easier to convert to etheric matter than any other element beyond lithium. Okay? So what I believe is happening is that the hydrogen is coming into here and coming into here. Oh, hold on a minute, I've got a problem. This is in the middle of the rock. This is in the middle of the rock. That's a bit of a problem, isn't it? Okay, all right. Well, hold that thought. Hydrogen come up here, and then I was thinking, I wonder if this granite is radioactive. Because you only need 5 electron volts to make etheric matter out of hydrogen, according to Shishkin and Kurolz. But I've done the work. I can share the papers. It's not necessary to go into it right now. But they say that the radioactivity in the chamber is not above what it needs to be. Sorry, it's not above background. Okay? So I've looked at the different granites that are available out of Aswan or whatever, the various quarries. There are significantly highly radioactive granites that are available in Egypt. But they're not the ones here. But I think they were the ones that were slotted in here. All the way down the gallery. All the way down the gallery. There were slabs slotted in this random slot here. Which is not random. It's precisely placed. Absolutely precisely placed. And that would allow the hydrogen to come up here and be converted into little monopoles. Right? And they will get ripped apart additionally by here and aggregated into a very fine cluster that comes out of here, which is so fine that when you see it on here, oh look, there's a spiral there. Isn't that interesting? Oh, the spiral has a ratio of 10 qubits by 20 qubits. And if you look at the center bit there, rotate it through 90 degrees, it's also got a ratio of 10 qubits by 20 qubits. Or rather, in this case, it's 4 by 8, and this is 2 by 4. Well, isn't that interesting? If you had a yin-yang, the smallest yin-yang you could have is 2 units Planck lengths, isn't it? It had to be 2. And if you had 2 coming in, you'd have to have a square of 4. And wouldn't that make an auspicious symbol in the middle there, wouldn't it? It would make an auspicious symbol in the middle. Well, that's all very interesting, all very interesting. And as you come out, you'll see that the spiral, that's interesting. It interacts with the vortex points on here. Well, there we go. Isn't that a thing of beauty? But when it's pulling the material in, our ionized hydrogen, which are now in the toroidal moment dark matter clusters, the true charge separation, and it gets into the center point here of its own Sothic cone. At this center point, it gets compressed to basically the Planck's distance. And that goes down into the overall vortex, okay? If you had a lot of them, it would go round in a loop, okay? So depressurization here, instantaneous pressurization here and there. Depressurization here, so on, okay? So what we have is we have water running down here. It goes into the offset hyperboloid spiral section or spiral section. It's definitely offset. We've proved this over years, okay? And it works on every scale. And so that is very, 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 very precisely placed, okay? Then it comes up here as hydrogen and oxygen. The oxygen stays down low. The hydrogen goes through any gaps. You can't stop it. It's hydrogen, okay? It comes in here. We have our line of radioactive granite. Almost every decay in radioactive granite is well above 5 electron volts. So it has no problem properly charge separating it. Just like as the uranium, because basically the granite has uranium and thorium in it. Okay. And uranite that was used by John Hutchison has, well, it has uranium in it, okay, and thorium. So if you just take I think the transition to lead 208, it's like 4 point something million electron volts, a beta particle or something. So thallium 208 to lead 208, something like that. So there's a lot of properly charge separated dark matter clusters in here that then get forced into here and go round in a loop. Okay, and then that will go down into a vortex that goes into the center here that will then go through a wormhole and pop out over here. Okay, now why is that important? Oh, hold on a minute. We've still got this problem over here, haven't we? We've still got this problem over here. We'll come back to that. Over here, what happens on this side? Well, I think we're going to find out. What we found out with is here, over here, it was aluminium minus oxygen gave us boron. It's making it lighter. But if you're already starting with either hydrogen or you're starting with separated hydrogen, well, you're just going to end up with etheric matter. Anything smaller than that's going to be basically etheric matter, right? We've already shown we can do it in a very simple Vega experiment. Okay, so it comes round through the material. Now the material is limestone. Why is that important? I chose limestone for trying to fix the Fukushima nuclear wastewater because it's mostly isotopes that are non-spin. Spin isotopes have a problem with this thing that interacts with spin, okay? But it's non-spin. In fact, out of calcium, carbon, and oxygen, of all of the isotopes, only 0.24% of all of the atoms, 0.24 of 1% of all of the atoms, you can go and check my math, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it is that, is spin nuclei. So, and basically, carbon doesn't want to be anything else. Tesla proved that, we've proved that. Oxygen doesn't want to be anything else. It's already very happy, so a bunch of alpha particles. And most of calcium is calcium-40. It doesn't want to be anything else. The material passes through it, not interested at all. Okay? Not interested at all. And it comes out of here, and it goes past this zone here, and it comes out, and what we see here is calcium. And what is calcium in this instance? It is aluminium plus oxygen. Okay? However, we also saw silver here. Okay? And I believe that as you come up here, you will see something heavier here. And where is this zone? Where, oh, where could it be? Oh, right, yeah. The zone here is where the sarcophagus is. Interesting. Bless. This is such a precise technology. I believe that what would come in here, given the fact that we synthesized in one of these structures in the experiment by Suhas Ralkar, when we looked at some of the blobs at Maastricht University, we saw, I think it was platinum and gold, definitely gold. And so I would imagine that something in here was creating a heavy element. And you know, some people say that Egypt really didn't have a lot of gold, and how was it able to do so much with gold, and where did the gold come from? You know? And you can imagine that people think, well, they got this pyramid and they keep pulling gold out of it. Let's build pyramids because maybe they just make gold, and that's how they're made. So there might be a lot of fake pyramids in the world where people are like trying to copy something but didn't really know how it worked. Okay? Quite likely, actually. I've seen that happen in the field of Lena, right? So this is not guesswork. This is so incredibly precise engine. It's unimaginable the level of precision that's gone into this. And you know what? You need to be 5 years old to replicate an ultra experiment. 5 years old. That's it. Maybe 3, but maybe you won't get everything out of it. Okay? And you will know that the pyramids will be doing this. But I'm not finished. I'm not even close to being finished because it gets much, much more amazing. Okay? So, to recap, we have a sacred geometry, and at the Chiro, or let's call it the Cairo center, we have the Christ center. Okay, we have this producing a moment that comes down, and because for some reason this viewer does that, I need to go like that. Okay. It comes down, and this is offset. It is offset. And so it will disassociate the water to hydrogen and oxygen. That comes up here, so on. And then the hydrogen comes into this chamber. We'll deal with this in a little while. The hydrogen comes into this chamber. It is with the granite slabs selected as the thing that starts the reactor. If you don't have water here and you just have the granite slabs, you don't have a working reactor. If you have the water, and well, basically you get it. No water, granite slabs doesn't work. Granite slabs, no water, doesn't work. Yeah, I might have said the same thing, but you get the point. You need both. You need both. And plus, you need these holes plugged, right? Because hydrogen likes to rise. And there's the point. These are vents, but they are hydrogen vents. They're hydrogen vents, right? You've got one over here and you've got one over here, right? And you might even want to flare them so you can see that that when the hydrogen runs out. And so what will happen is this will do a couple of things. But firstly, it'll synthesize whatever they were wanting to synthesize in here, okay? We know we can synthesize elements. We've done it in ultra experiments, and we know that it appears here on the making side. On the breaking side, we're just converting it into spirit energy. Okay, okay. So that's that. Now, when you turn this off, basically what you do is the well runs dry. When the well runneth dry, when the well runneth dry, you don't get any hydrogen, but there will still be hydrogen in here, and so you basically unplug the hole here, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how hard you think you've sealed these things. It's gonna come out. It's hydrogen, right? Okay. Now, what you might want to do is have extremely tight-fitting fine limestone casing stones, and that will produce a hydrogen cap. That will prevent the hydrogen from leaking. You can have really wonky rocks in here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But over here, on the outside, you will want a tight-fitting casing. Okay? And in fact, the casing only needs to be tight-fitting up to about the top of the chevrons, right? Okay? Because that's where all the hydrogen is. Down here, it's oxygen. Yeah? Okay? Now, when you open this, two things will happen. One, the oxygen that's in here will come up here. And secondly, it'll pull in air. Okay? Oxygen and air, right? Then what you do is you go down here and you climb up here. You can leave these things in place, and I'm going to come to those in a minute because they are not to prevent you stealing the phantom mummy. The phantom mummy is not being prevented to be stealing there because it's a phantom mummy. Okay? You come up here and you collect whatever it is that you've made here. Right? You collect it. And you know when it's safe for a number of reasons, and I'll come to that in a minute. Okay? So, but I haven't shown you the whole structure here, have I? I've just shown you... Okay, so the other thing is, when this is working, and it's producing the hydrogen here, okay? And it's producing whatever precious stuff it is that they wanted to collect in this box, okay? And by the way, I've got a beautiful image of the alpha there, but I don't really see the omega. Someone pointed out that, but I have a stunning image that I will share that I took when I was in the King's Chamber. The metal production zone, I should call it. Down here, you wouldn't want to be in there when the reactor's working because there will be an intense flux of chi energy coming through here. No, don't want to be there. Don't want to be there. But the great thing about oxygen is it's paramagnetic and it will collect the chi energy. And if you come in here and breathe it and you haven't already got a cancer, it could probably do a lot of wonders for your health. This, I would suggest, is the super duper 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 healthy zone, right? And I would suggest, my friends, I would suggest that this cup here is the Holy Grail. And you would come into the Holy Grail and you would be healed here with the oxygen, which is super duper duper full of chi energy. This is like the oxygen you get from, you know, oxy hydrogen generator, but like taken to the uber max, right? Very, very special oxygen. Very, very, very. This is like the hyperbaric chamber of the gods, right? The hyperbaric chamber of the gods. Okay, right. So So we've done the element synthesis. We've done the basic functioning of how the reactor works. Now there's a couple of aspects, safety aspects which are built in, and one thing that you would observe when it's running, and one thing that you would need to have in place for you to know that it is not going to cause you a problem. Right, okay. So I'm going to, which one am I going to do first? I'm going to do that. Right. There is a thing called the Scan Pyramids project, and I was talking about that earlier. And they have taken muon detectors, looking at these high energy protons that hit the upper atmosphere, produce a muon stream, and they can detect what is going on. And I don't want that one, do I? Or do I? That's okay. No, okay, we'll do that. No, we don't want that. We want this one. Give me a sec. This one, that one, this one, that one, this one. Give me a sec. This isn't quite what I wanted to show at this point. Okay, that'll do. That'll do. Right. So we will go to the Scan Pyramids project, which is where? There we go. Pull this up here. There we go. This is Cairo. That is the big pyramid. There's a hole. These guys are looking in. No one knows what it is. They've got these big muon detectors. There we go. They can look in. They found this thing that's behind the chevrons. We'll talk about that in a little while. And then they blah, blah, blah. And then that's the chevrons. And they found this zone. And la, 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 la. Now, the bit that I want to talk about first is in the first set of things they found. Now, note the Grand Gallery is not straight on. They're looking at this with the muon detectors. Wait. So on. Okay, so that's the unknown void. They found an unknown void. Okay, and this is the Grand Gallery from another detection system, and the Japanese got involved. And then they looked at it from the outside, and then they triangulated this thing. Okay, by combining all of these different muon detection things, from like looking up from there, looking up from there, and looking up from here, and then they worked out that there is this void, and it has a kind of similar height to the Grand Gallery, and it could be horizontal. So the Grand Gallery is 47 meters long and 8 meters high, and a volume of 600 meters cubed. This one is not 47, but 30 meters long. Okay. Now it could be up here, and it could be all the way down there. So it could be 20 meters lower, right? Now it cannot, and it could be horizontal, and it could be at an angle either that way or the other way, like that. Okay. Right. The reason they don't know is because they're scanning from here, and the cross-sectional volumes, they can only say that it's between here and here, and because you're looking up through here, there's a bit up here and a bit up, so they don't quite know where it is. I think I know where it is. I think I'm going to show you where it is. I think that the Grand Gallery Mark II, okay? I think the Grand Gallery Mark II is my friends, is not there. It is there. Why? Because it needs to be able to allow the hydrogen to come up the hole here or leak through the rocks and to be ionized, possibly with radioactive granite that's still there. But because they're mostly alpha particles, they're never going to get through this rock. Okay? And this will allow for hydrogen to come in this side and balance this tour out. So this was released in 2017, in the same year that I was in doing my first ball lightning work and working with Suhas Ralkar. Okay? I was not aware of this until I was going, this doesn't really work, this theory, unless there's a chamber above. It's got to be a chamber above, right? And so I started looking for, is there a chamber above? And I don't know, sometime this week, and I go, there's a chamber above. And they don't know whether it's at this height, or whether it goes down, or whether it's higher, or whatever. But I think it's going to be here. And why do I think it's where I've just put it there? Is because this is definitely in this line, which is perfect, because it's inside this circle. Okay? It needs to be inside this circle. Remember, from the lion outside crust, there is some effect here, almost all of the effects here, but the main action occurs in here, right? So you have to to maximize the benefit, you would have to be here, right? And it wants to go at least as far as here on the main action, because most of this will be sucked into here, okay? So I believe that the gallery is there. So therefore, we've completed it in terms of that part of the functioning of how this works. However, there's a couple of other points, and this will literally blow your mind. Look into the hole. No. Where am I? No, not that one. Oh, I'm losing it now. Okay. So back to our pyramid. Not that one. Because remember what we had before. We had our pre-dynasty Ankh in a glowing sphere. And we had derived that the sphere, and bearing in mind that we know above here we've got the Ankh part, right? And we know that this sphere can glow, okay? We know that we should have this sphere around it. So let's put the sphere on the structure. Boom! Why did I do a boom? Why did I do a boom there? I'll tell you why. Look at this, my friends. In the layer where you have the double layer, that's where your granite blocks are. That's where your granite blocks are. This series of granite blocks was absolutely not, in my opinion, and I can see a famous Egyptologist going absolutely nuts right now. It's nothing to do with the phantom body that wasn't there. It's absolutely to do with safety. And it's showing that they precisely knew where the structure would come to. So, you could come down here, blah, 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 relatively safely. But you wouldn't want to climb up here. Why? Because if you climb up here, you would end up getting into this zone. Now, the area in which all matter is mostly affected is within inside the volume of the pyramid. Okay? It's within inside the volume of the pyramid. This is not within inside the volume of the pyramid. Neither is this. And what will happen, in my view, is that when the pyramid is really going for it, this, my friends, will emit light. It'll emit light in one of the same ways that ball lightning emits light. It will be a cold, ionizing, radiation-based light. This is precise. Anyone can do this. You've got the geometry. It's very, very simple. Okay? This circle precisely hits here. This circle precisely hits here. This area where heavy stuff is made, if you do a 5-year-old learn and run it in 20 minutes experiment, is where the so-called sarcophagus is. This is where oxygen would be in the center line of the chi flux. This is where you disrupt your water and it comes up this channel. It needs to come up this channel because the whole thing needs to be inside this circle. Okay? You see what happened? This, where the oxygen comes up, this whole configuration is inside this circle. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work if it came up here. It wouldn't work. They had to make this so-called escape channel. They had to make it because that's where the hydrogen goes, inside the reactor. Okay? This is not where the hydrogen goes. They have so precisely engineered this with sacred geometry that you cannot possibly not understand this. This dogleg around here 100% proves that this is nothing other than protection here and access for the water go down. Now, the thing is, when this starts being incoherent, it will stop emitting ball lightning like light. And then, if you want to keep the reactor running, what you do is you pour more water in. And it comes down here, starts running, this becomes coherent again, starts emitting light. You know, it's when the bulb goes off, then it needs more water. And you know how much water you've put in here, so you will know when you put a certain amount of water, what amount of element would have been made here, whatever the element is that you've desired to be made here, which is probably gold. It's probably gold. Okay? So this is kind of like the light bulb gone out, need more water, right? When this has gone out, you need some way of knowing that it's just not gone out and it's safe, because you can't come and look here. You can't come and look here, right? You can't come down here and look. Okay? So what then? What? What is going on here? How would you know? So for instance, you do not know if firstly, you don't want to climb up this very smooth surface at this angle because you're going to slide down and die, right? You want to be able to come in somewhere here and have a look, okay? Now, this could be very unpleasant. It's so unpleasant, they put 3 very, very large, heavy granite blocks in the way, right? You don't want to be inside this zone when it's active, okay? So, we're not going to be climbing up here, even when the light bulb goes out, when our ball lightning, because this is what it is, this is the sphere that glows in ball lightning. This is the perimeter sphere that glows in ball lightning. We don't want to come up here and find out that if we stick our finger in here, it turns to etheric matter, right? Do we? Not at all. Right? I mean, you could probably throw a rock up and it'll bounce off or disappear maybe. But in case it just messes with your DNA, which is more likely, you want a different way to find out what's going on. Well, I think on the 2nd and on the day ago, they published what it was. And I'm going to get it up for you now. So, here is our geometry, and let's have a look at where the Scan Pyramids new tunnel that they found. Boom! Oh Oh my God. Oh my God. This is not a dead-end tunnel, my friends. It is a dead-end tunnel. But what this is an inspection point. It's an inspection point. They look through a hole here and they see, maybe at night, is it still a bit glowy in here? Can I smell any sulfur, or can I smell any, I don't know, ozone? If I can smell ozone, probably best not to go and collect the gold or whatever it is. Probably best not to try and heal myself. Yeah? I'm going to have a look in here, right? And if there's a couple of sprites moving around in there, it's like, nah, not ready yet. Not ready yet. And all you will find is that shortly, a little while later, you'll find, yep, we know that when we wait for a period of 2 days after the light goes out and we see no more glowing in there and we don't smell any ozone and we don't smell any sulfur, because that's what ball lightning does. It ionizes the air. And then when it fails, it produces sulfur. We showed that. Okay? You walk down your tunnel here. This is not an escape hatch. This is the oxygen, but it's probably the channel by which you go and get your gold, whatever it is you're making in there, and so on. You might want to remove these blocks, but I'd probably not do that. Leave the blocks in place. Go down here, and you'd probably have some reasonable way of getting up there. And there we go. So that is in my view the most advanced vacuum energy reactor on planet Earth. It's a little bit under the weather, but if the Egyptians decided to and go, yes, we don't want to be treated like we're a backward people, we would really like to be able to get a bit of radioactive granite in there, get some limestone, seal the outside, fix a few of the holes that have been dug where they shouldn't have been dug, and get this thing running, get the show running again. Now, the question I have is, remember I showed you earlier where if you only have 2 tours, they fire out beams. Those possibly would be sending energy to other pyramids around the world, producing a grid, like a global grid, global power grid. Okay, so if you wanted a safe unit locally, you'd probably want to put more tours in there, but there's one other thing you need to look at here. Another thing you need to look at. Because, my friends, there's more to this than you think when you initially look at it. And what do I mean by that? What do you see on this image? It's aligned north and south. Now, the thing is slightly off. It's slightly off, but that might be so that the beam energy directs to the next pyramid more accurately. It's north. Now, why is it north? Why is it north? We do know that the markings on the ceiling that I'd identified here and here are showing a n minus 1 tour, 2 tour, that's slightly to the right, and this is showing an angle. Okay, so this I would think would explain why the chamber above is slightly offset. It might just be necessary to build it like that. But what did I show you right at the beginning of this thing? And what did I say you would need to remember? You would need to remember because it's very important. It's this, my friends. It's this. The lion cauliflower, thanks to the lion person, was in a solenoid. And that meant it was aligned north-south. That is what is going on here. The toroid and the toroid is aligned north-south because that is what it does. That is what it does. It's not guesswork. This is exactly what it does. Okay? It was aligned north-south. This is the cauliflower behind this line. It looks like this. Okay? And I showed you what the backside looked like. It had a flux loop between it. That flux loop, my friends, would be the wormhole that goes through the calcium carbonate. To fix the world's most important quantum coherent gravimagnetic rotor based reactor that deals with dark matter and vacuum energy, which is the Great Pyramid of Egypt. It is a relatively trivial thing for them to do. They need to fix the granite slabs, the radioactive slabs that need to be put in here. They need to put a limestone casing on the outside. They need to fill in these holes that they dug. This one can stay, and so can that one. Yeah, so they just need to get used. So basically what you do is, when you see this glow start to die back a bit, you then look through your observation tunnel, wherever that was. I had it here. No, not there. My machine's gonna, if you could imagine how many windows I've got open right now. Where is it? You look through your observation tunnel here. Check there is no glowy sprites moving around in the dark, and check that there is no smell of ozone or sulfur. And then you can say, all right, lads, let's go down up there. So they would climb up. Now, they would climb up, and they would open the plugs on these two holes. The hydrogen would come up here. It would drain this chamber and this chamber simultaneously, and it would drain the area down here. There might be a reserve of hydrogen that gets trapped up here, and that might just be necessary to get the reactor started. It's like the sparkle, the sparkleite or whatever, in a gas stove. Note that the chamber tunnel that goes up here, it goes under this area here. This one's going around the side of this one. I mean, the level of precision that's gone into making this is just, it's so breathtaking. It's so breathtaking. And it shows absolute precise knowledge. Absolute precise knowledge. Yeah, the new magnetic scan. Yeah. I just knew the scan was happening earlier in, like when I got the channel and then it was like, when I put that thing over, I went, it cannot possibly be that perfect. And it was. It was that perfect. I mean, I'm working with their 3D images. So, it's they're a little bit distorted, so they don't line up perfectly. But, so this is their flat one, but they don't know whether it's going down at an angle. But it has to. I think I can pretty much say, I can give them the answer that it goes there. It needs to at least go to about here, I think, because of the way this works. It needs to at least cover that structure there. But given this tunnel coming in here, it's just mind-bending. Just absolutely mind-bending. There is nothing... The fact that this whole sphere encapsulates the water area, the gas production and stuff, and this angle here does not. This does not, therefore means that the purpose of this is to be protecting people. When the lights go out and we see no more stuff going in here, it doesn't really matter actually if the light's gone out. We know the reactor needs more water. We pour the more water in here, it gets disassociated, comes up here, gets properly charged, separated, goes into the etheric matter reactor, comes out, and we get super duper healthy oxygen, I imagine here. We get gold, and we get freaking light. When this is running, it will shine. It will be a shining thing on the top of a hill. Okay? A shining thing on the top of a hill. And the vortex coming from these two structures, going into the center. Yeah? It's so precisely designed with the 10 qubits by 20 qubits. Or in this case, I've got 4 by 8, and this is 2 by 4. Okay? But you need, for each vortex structure, for things to go round each other, and for two things to have two things going round each other, you need at least 4 units. And these 4 units in the center, the auspicious symbol here, 4-legged man, this exactly precisely will be the smallest thing possible in the universe. 4 Planck's unit structures here. Okay? It's just a thing of great beauty. And we had all of the hard science and physical evidence done, so not a single calculation needed to be done. Not one calculation needed to be done to prove this. Man could have made this. Or someone could have brought the technology here. But man could have made this. And all they needed to do was to look at water vibrating. And think a little. That's it. So then we think, like, you know, is there any evidence that the... And by the way, this, if you haven't seen it, this is what they found behind there. Where is it? Here. This was the show a couple of days ago. That's what they found. This is just an inspection hole. It's not meant to be luxurious. It's just like, do we see glowing stuff or not? If we see glowing stuff, then probably we shouldn't go down and collect our gold. Right? Not a good plan. We'll stay where we are, thank you, until we don't see any glowing stuff. Okay? Right. So, just to tie this up with the mystery schools, let's do that. Let's do a little bit of tying up with the mystery schools. So, I'm going to go here and I'm going to file new tab. And I'm going to type in, what am I going to type in, do you think? I am going to type in, my friends, Eye of Providence. Eye of Providence. And Eye of Providence means God conceived as the power sustaining and guiding human destiny. I won't go into the fact that it's at the unfinished pyramid. Right. Let's have a look at some images of Eye of Providence. Ooh, look at that. Could that be a pyramid with a circular emission of light that comes out not from the top of the corners, but, oh my God, let's have a look. Let's have a look at what the geometry dictates. The geometry dictates this, and the Eye of Providence looks like this. The geometry dictates this. Do you notice any similarity? Not at all exactly the same. 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 Ah, you gotta laugh. Oh dear. Oh dear. Let's go and have a look at some architecture. Let's see. Eye of Providence architecture. Architecture. Let's have a look at that. Oh, looky here. What is this, pray tell? Could this be a Masonic order in Italy, in Venice? Not at all exactly the same. Not at all. Nope, no similarity whatsoever. Oh dear. The Earth has just got its rights back. We've just got our rights back. Ay, ay, ay. Not at all exactly the same. Nope. No similarity whatsoever. Can't see it. No. No. No, it's not the same. Please tell me it's not the same. No. It can't be the thing that precisely defines every single piece of how this piece of incredible vacuum engineering technology works. Of course, you want an anti-gravity craft, you need more tors, because you don't want it to be so wonky. But when you are using the Earth's gravitational field, like the solenoid in the Lion reactor, to produce your 2 tors, to cohere the dark matter condensed and released from the hydrogen that's released from the dissociation of water, then you just want 2 tors. And if you want to create a global grid, you would have a beam coming out this way and a beam coming out that way. It could probably go through your body and it wouldn't matter. Because you would need another tor to pull it out, you know. Not at all exactly the same. Nothing at all. My dad said to me when I was just going 30, he said, Bob, he said, Robert, he said, I think you are suitable to go into the Masons. And I said to him, Dad, it's not my path. That's not my path. Who would have thought that I would end up here with you guys and this evening? Not at all. Not at all. Now the question is, how much do the Masons actually really know? You know, you have to give them credit. They have gone to an immense amount of trouble to pass this down through the ages. Immense amount of trouble to pass this down through the ages. This has been the most awesome pleasure to be able to share this. It's such a deep, deep honor. Such a deep honor to share this with you. And it came from people sharing real science despite and in spite of the mockery. Not at all the same. Nothing similar whatsoever. Tim, you sent me pics per. Thank you for your super chats. That's fantastic, guys. Thank you. Tim Hack says sent you pics per mail a moment ago. I think you haven't seen this one yet. Lots more structures revealed. Could fit your theory perfectly. Okay, that's wonderful. But yeah, you know, it is what it is. It is the new dawn of an old age. It's the new dawn of an old age. Not at all the same. Not at all. Do you understand? We are literally in a new millennia. We are in a new era. And I'm going to say tonight that they should stop working on ITER. Just stop. Down tools. Sorry, mate. We don't want to do this thing that's not going to work ever. And we're going to go over to Egypt and spend a itty bitty bit of money putting some limestone on the outside, plugging a few holes, and getting some granite polished rock and putting it in the slots and fix the hastily destroyed slots, right? Yeah. ITER is the biggest waste of money beforehand, but given this, there's literally no human excuse why you would continue with that nonsense. I'm sorry, but all you guys can learn vacuum engineering. Learn to vacuum engineer. You got to hand it to the Masons. They really did do a lot of work to pass this down. And remember, this is coming from hard science. It's hard. You can literally get a metal plate and vibrate it. You'll see a cavitation spot with those little nicks coming off to the side. And that is this technology. That is it. It's this technology. And it has to be aligned to the north. It doesn't need to be that precise. I think they're guiding the beam. But, you know, like, the reality is that this is on one side, on the outside of the north-south line, but it is directly in line with it. So the other thing is, and I haven't mentioned this, and I must mention it now. You must, in my view, have the proton acceptor north because of its positive spin. Okay? I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that is more important than the exact alignment of these chambers. I think the alignment of the chambers is more about where you're projecting the coherent energy that comes out in the side beam, right, to another reactor. It might just be a pickup point. You don't need reactors elsewhere. You could probably, this one reactor could probably convert water into all the energy that's needed for planet Earth. Probably. Because the amount of energy would just be spectacular. So the other pyramids could just be resonators that would capture this energy and convert it locally. Okay. The other thing is that what you've got here actually is an atmospheric processor. You pour in stuff, and stuff becomes light stuff like water and hydrogen, and that spews out of the holes. Right? This is an atmosphere maker. You know, it'll likely make nitrogen, it'll likely make oxygen and so on, but, you know, hydrogen. So it's probably the same technology that you would use to go and terraform a place, but you would need a planet that has a magnetic pole. It needs that. The other pyramids, so I think actually some of the pyramids were nodes, and I think other pyramids were just like, these Egyptian dudes, like, they've got this technology. I don't know where they got it from, but they keep pulling gold out of it. And like, we'd like some of that action. And so let's build a pyramid and see if we can get gold out of it, because maybe that'll happen. And so there might have been a bit of that going on. But given the fact that all over the world, you have these structures that bear the symbols, particularly the auspicious symbol, probably the most important symbol of how this technology works. I would expect that they would, they would know this technology. And I think this was as common as I know how that a plane can fly, or I know that I can phone someone on my phone. They'd be like, because it's actually not that complicated. But it is so more advanced than the world we are living in. We are living in the world of the usurers. This is Azura. And the god of ball lightning, or rather, God has allowed us to understand this again. He's allowed us. And it is our duty to make sure man can live again with this beautiful technology that works in the harmony with nature. Unimaginable amounts of energy. I mean, Cairo must have been a gleaming city. It must have been like, it's like, oh, can someone turn the light off? No, it would be more like a ball lightning glow. But it would have been pretty cool. It would have literally looked like an all-seeing eye. It would look pretty spiritual, wouldn't it? It'd be like this permanent etheric glow. It's like, who turned the light out? They're just collecting the gold for this month's spices from India. So I could have done more perfect presentations tonight, but my view was to get this out the door. It's been too long coming, like about, I don't know, at least 2,000 years, probably 4,000 years, maybe more than 12,000 years. So it's about time it happened, really. And I got to thank everyone that helped it happen. I mean, and I want to thank all of those people who were canny enough to carve their work onto tombstones, where people might think, oh, it's just a tombstone. Why would anyone put anything like cataclysmically important on there? Oh, dear. It's just, you can have some fun, but I mean, it's literally every single image you're going to find is going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same thing. Eye of Providence. Eye of Providence. Which is God conceived as the power sustaining and guiding human destiny. It's like the ontological will of God. The power. Now, someone sent me this clip from a ministry reverend or whatever they call them, and he was saying that he had a vision, and the fallen angels stole the technology from God and illegally put it on earth. But in the end times, after lots of trials and tribulations, Revelation says that the sons of David will discover this for themselves, and it will be legitimate. I believe we are legitimately able to use this technology. We did the work. We went through the hard knocks. They will stop at nothing. As I said in 2017, I said, this is Revelations, and they will stop at nothing about this technology coming out. And it is painful. It's been so painful knowing where this would end up. To have to go through every single step. But honestly, it had to happen this way. It had to happen this way. There was no other way it could happen. Literally, the day I publish it, that I'm going to talk about it this weekend, the final part of the puzzle was published from the French and Japanese in the Scan Pyramids group. there's you know, it's not serendipity. It was what meant to happen. This is meant to happen now. Okay, so I'm going to ask. Has anyone got any questions? Okay, let's see what the questions. Got any questions? Go back to. Let's have a look. An Italian. Where is it? An Italian. There we go. Conspiracy theories. Illuminati. No, sorry, mate. It's real. Get over yourself. This is real. Game's up. I haven't really thought about small pyramids as nodes. You won't need the generator of the power. You would just need the vortices in there to capture the energy. So, you know, it's like when I was sharing this structure yesterday. I just looked it up on Google, and it came up with a lot of antennas. Okay, so antennas typically are this shape, and that's because it's working with nature, right? And so, and it will be working at this level. So you will have antennas that you will be able to pick up this energy, but they will need to pick up the beam, and so you will probably want a 2-Tor fractal Tor structure at a node, and then that would downlink energy, and then it might use that energy to itself generate hydrogen. You could just burn the hydrogen. You could burn oxyhydrogen. I mean, you could literally burn oxyhydrogen, and then you would just be able to light a limestone with it or whatever. But I like the idea of things that would glow because they've got maybe some radioactive element in there, which is an alpha particle, wouldn't leak out of a standard borosilicate vase, and it would have the hydrogen in there, and it would just be connected to this grid, and the etheric matter would come in. It would resonate with the receiver, and that would, you know, it would be Tesla's dream. I mean, Tesla wasn't wrong, and I will go more into why I think Tesla was. You know, his father was a priest. He was from the right part of the world that shouldn't have known this. The priesthood in the monasteries kept this knowledge and passed it from generation to generation. So I think he had a handle on this very, very early on in his life. So Mercury is one proton on from gold. And so one might imagine that this might be mercury. And it might actually be the fact that you take radioactive mercury and it decays back to gold. So they might have actually been creating mercury in here, and it just fills up the vessel. And then they take the mercury and they just leave the mercury for a little while and it decays to gold, right? So they just have these... let's look at that. I'll type in radioactive mercury. Mercury isotopes. Mercury isotopes. Mercury isotopes. Helps if I spell it correctly, doesn't it? Isotopes of mercury. Right. So, where's the one that decays to gold? Right, there we go. So you got 180 mercury. And it decays in 2.58 seconds. To 180 gold and 2 platinum. Okay, so you get gold and platinum. There we go. Who wouldn't want those 2 metals? Okay, if you've got your reactor working a little bit wrong, maybe the energy level wasn't quite right, you might end up getting some mercury that's genuinely mercury. So you might want to create mercury, you know, but given the world that we have lived in for so long, you probably want gold or platinum first. I think the mercury is useful in a Vimana and in an ARV for channeling the chi energy through the center and stopping it from splatting your... I'll talk about that in another presentation in more detail. But yes, this is, in my view, the Holy Grail. It can heal you, not if you've already got cancer, because that will accelerate the cancer. It just accelerates things that are living and want to repair themselves. I mean, if you've got, like, the test that they did in Russia is that if you expose to a flux of strange radiation a non-cancer a mouse that hasn't been exposed to a gamma radiation damaging its DNA, it'll actually produce more white blood cells, because that's a part of your body which produces a lot of cells. So I actually propose a technology where you would have a device and you put it on your leg, and it locally produces a lot more white blood cells, and then they go around your body and fix any cancers that are getting a hold, and fix any pathogens in your body. So you would do that. So just local application. But if you're a healthy person, you go into the Holy Grail, the font of youth, and have a good old and super duper hyperbaric chamber. It's going to do you wonders, right? You might even live for a very long time. Yeah, I'll talk about those other things, Corky, and it'll all be logical. But today it was one about the science and two about the machine on the Giza Plateau. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can find any questions. If not, I might call it a night. It's 2 o'clock here, 2:11. Yes, key component. How do I make one? Go and get a lot of rock. A lot of rock. No. I think that the first thing you do is don't try and think you know better than how the universe works. That's the most important thing here. Don't try and do anything that you think is better than the universe. The universe will do this, and it will do it at every scale. We've already shown that we can produce definitely silver. We seem to be able to produce silver quite easily. Where is it? Where are we here? We know that using our structure in water, you can create every element in the periodic table. And so if you were able to resonate this in a certain way, it would be a case of doing it to a certain limit. So where is our... it's down here. There we go. So we know we've got some silver forming here, and we know we get some copper and that. So I expect you could do it. And the thing about using lower frequency, I would choose lower frequency. So there will be a resonant sound in the pyramid, and it's probably something to do with the shape as well, and that will assist in the process the same as it does here. And like I say, the metal is hydrophilic. This produces charge separation in the form of easy water, and that with the sound produces the vortices, and the vortices produce these toroidal moments, and the toroidal moments lead to the fractal toroidal moments, and the fractal toroidal moments lead to the necessary things. And also you've got cavitation going on as well, and that has high energy areas which exceed 5 electron volts, and so that can produce the full proper charge separation, and that will get bound to the oxygen and so on. So there's all kinds of reasons why this would work, but I would suggest lower frequency sound but resonant, and then you need to have a substrate, and then you will actually have zones, and the zones will be bigger. They won't be little bits, but you might find actually that, you know, because aluminium is single isotope, it's much easier to work with. you could use mercury because if you get some zones in there and then you get a heavier element or a lighter element or whatever, you're going to have ways of separating it, aren't you? So you could use sound to do the mercury. It might even be that they put mercury in here, like they started with mercury and maybe that was a quick thing, but it doesn't matter. You will be able to produce every element, and Sviatomenko produced every element as well. Like, and some blobs were a lot of one element. Like sometimes he had like a blob that was like 70% gold or something. So or other elements, and so yeah. But the thing about what they've done here is in the zone that you get the heavy metals produced, they've got a collection chamber. And I was thinking, is this going to be like a white powder at single element at a time? Well, it doesn't. It's not really like that. It does produce a solid. So they might have tuned it to make radioactive mercury, but I don't think it produces radioactive elements, actually. So I think probably it will just be a chunk of gold that gets put in there. If that's what people were buying. Starfish Troopers podcast. Why the alignment? The alignment is because you need to. I showed you here that in our Lion reactor, this had a solenoid around it, and it was north-south, effectively, in the magnetic field of the solenoid. So the alignment of the device is aligned to ensure that these solenoids, these structures are aligned with north, and so that means that you will know that one particular, because like when you look at what I'm showing you here, one is a maker and one is a breaker, okay, and so you want the breaker to be facing north because you want to break up your matter, okay, into etheric matter and condense it into the flux, the wormhole, okay. So this needs to be the breaker and that needs to be the maker. And it might be something to do with the spin, half spin of the protons. So the protons are coming up here and that just assists in the process. Okay. So, and there we go. Whatever it is, this is how it needs to be. It's just, there isn't another option. You can't do it better. This is as good as it's ever going to be. Right. You can ask for more money, but you're still going to build it exactly the same. I think there's a lot of flexibility. So like I was talking to someone about this earlier in the week, and I said, like, when do the pole shift occurs? Because if the pole shift occurs, you actually literally have to rotate your pyramid. Okay, and it's fortunately the pole shift happens every like 700,000 years, so we got plenty of time. So like this pyramid will work for a long time, and it's quite flexible. It will work with quite a degree swing with the North Pole, in my opinion. Like I say, it doesn't need to be so precise. This shows that it doesn't need to be so precise, but you do need to have the breaker facing north. Okay. So the Lion reactor had 22 kilohertz ripple on the power supply. I think that was important. I will talk about aspects of how that worked within the iron core, but essentially it's magneto-restrictive thing. It's never been discussed before, but that's what I believe is going on. That produces basically a rarefaction pulse generator directly in the core of the reactor. So that produces sound. It's increased in frequency because the Lion author put copper wire up and down, which would have acted like a transformer. So the 22 kilohertz would have gone to a different frequency and so on. And it's all electrically isolated because the thing is in quartz. So it would have built up an amazing amount of charge clusters in there, as it definitely did. And so it was enough to light a 20-watt light bulb for 30 minutes when the reactor was turned off, with just the residual charge clusters in the Lion crust. So that is a lot of stored energy in that device. Yeah, that's basically it. Can you quick look at the pictures I sent? Short comment. Okay, where am I looking? Where did you? Don't put my email there, please. Where am I looking? Not there. Okay. Oh, right. Okay, so you've got some other things. All right. Is this the latest imagery? There's Doppler. Okay. Is this? That's the Grand Gallery. Okay. All right. I see. I see what you're saying. It's basically in line. Okay. I see. Yeah. Okay. Fine. All right. So I think. Yeah. Okay. If I'm right in saying that Tim has just sent this to me, and if it's correct, I think the Grand Gallery is below. Is that right, Tim Hack? So we got the Grand Gallery below here, and then we got one above. Maybe that's right. So do the 8 sides on the pyramid affect it? Yes, I think they do, because it's a resonant structure. So I think maybe, and I've thought about this for a while, I think the most important, or one of the aspects of the 8 sides, is to allow a better keying for the limestone that goes on the outside that provides the hydrogen cap, basically. So it's like more earthquake proof. I think that might be a seismic addition rather than anything particular special. But it could be for reasons of focusing sound or radiating sound. It might even be something to do with just water running off the surface or whatever. I think the outsides would have been perfectly flat, though. Did not baby it and cast after 2 weeks. Healed surgeon. Okay. Nicola walked around his buildings 3 times. Yes, he did. Oh, so 3D pictures show 2 grand galleries. Okay. Where's the 3D pictures? Okay. So in the previous presentation, I believe that we proved that ball lightning, as we proved originally, a blown up ball lightning is this structure that is blown up, and that a monopole structure, this is a more accurate representation of the physical form of a monopole than that model used by the Finnish university, and that by applying this, it explains the observations that many authors have had, including our friend Matsumoto, with carbon, of course, coming out of a lead sphere, and this lead sphere and the other spheres that he found were hollow, and that is why. Yeah, so that's that. And knowing that that was the case, we showed that, where is it? That this possibly hundreds of thousands of years old Ankh, and they call, what do they call it? The Ankh in the sun or something. This is the structure, and of course the etheric matter above, the spiritual component there is not represented in the model, but it's there, of course. And this is our glowing ball, and that this comes back to our glowing ball, which is our pyramid, which glows. And we know this because it's what the Masons would have us believe for basically all of time. So unless they've been lying all along, and the Egyptians were lying, it's all one big lie. Someone built the Great Pyramid for a joke. Sometime in the future, they're going to work out that the sacred geometry defines the structure of this pyramid, and that it's very, very precise, and it defines every single component of it, and it's all going to be a joke. You've got to be some evil genius to do that, right? How do we know EVOs are monopoles? I did that in the previous presentation, but if you go and look at Monopole Clutch, my presentation in 2020, I talk about the work of Leonid Orytskev, where he exploded metal foils, produced ball lightning at a distance, and microball lightning, and at a distance 0.7 of a meter away, he had iron 57 isotope sheets, and on the backside he put a north one, and on another one he put a south normal magnet, and he collected magnetic monopoles in those structures. So we know for certain that it's producing magnetic monopoles. These structures produce these lower part of the Ankh structures when they are impinging upon X-rays, and they dishevel, and it is that structure. It's that structure. It's this structure. Hey Bob, you finished Tesla's search to figure out the pyramids. Congrats. Yeah. Tesla got extremely close, I have to say. Really close. But he didn't have the advantage of lots of people able to collaborate internationally. He didn't have the advantage of the internet, being able to search across vast numbers of images very, very quickly. He didn't have the advantage of the analysis tools that we have. So it's unimaginably amazing that how he got the Wardenclyffe Tower so perfect. I can mostly conclude that's because his father taught him well, and his bloodline taught him well, because of where he was born, and his father being a priest, and being a priest in an area where this knowledge was very well understood for millennia. At least on a mystery school level. They might not have naturally known literally how it was working, but they knew that there's something we should be paying attention to here. It's not coincidence that all these people have been doing these things on everything of any importance for so long. Just for the sake, I've got some different levels of Tor here. Now, I don't know whether it actually, when you get to these higher level Tor structures, does it, go at 90 degrees or whatever. So, I don't know. So this would be your auspicious symbol, where you would have an auspicious symbol, an auspicious symbol, auspicious symbol, an auspicious symbol, and they collectively make an auspicious symbol. Well, actually, Taryn, I think the Evo, the building will be producing. The building itself will be producing UV light when it's operating, and I think being above all the residential areas, it's good because it would just be putting the light out and up, so it wouldn't really be a problem. It's very reflective surface, bouncing it up into the sky. So. There's our main cone. And our lemon. And that is our... if you chop that off at that line there, that is the vase that is behind Tesla when he's sharing that weapon to end all wars. And I believe that vase and the Sothic cone below is effectively the shape of the Holy Grail. But in fact, the actual volume of the Holy Grail is here. And that is where you see the material being captured in here. And you can see the Visa Capices here. And at the bottom of the cup is the place where you would fix yourself if you weren't already having cancers growing in your body. Yeah, it's our apple. So, you know, you can do like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 48. And as that happens, you'll have less material going out and then more material going into a closed loop. And I believe that the more material you get trapped into a closed loop, the more intense the gravimagnetic rotor beam will be coming out of the bottom. And, you know, that has both positive and negative applications. But one of those is that I'm nicely interested in is anti-gravity. So to all those people that said, Bob, stop talking about anti-gravity, stop thinking about anti-gravity, don't even go there. Sorry, it's done. Get over it, deal with it. It's not your toy anymore. And then we have our outer shell here. I think I'll add at some point the you know, the shape of the top of the Acc there, but it's not really something we need there. Okay, Bob, I have a question regarding the Evo Maker Breaker. How does this produce energy? You separate them. I mean, no, they might not have equal input and output. So firstly, one, in the instance that I've given with the fixed Great Pyramid, you would be inputting millions of electron volts with every single decay that ionizes the hydrogen. Secondly, the structure itself is using magnetic and gravitational energy. And so it will be harnessing that. That will produce an abundance of hydrogen and oxygen, which can be burnt. So you literally have a hydrogen, you have an oxyhydrogen generator. Okay, so that alone is a way to produce a lot of energy, because you can then store that gas. You can store it as hydrogen and compress it. You know, there's you could put it into an NB5 or whatever they call them. Hydrogen storage material, all kinds of different ways than one of these graphene type approaches. So there's many ways. So you can make oxyhydrogen, hydrogen. You can make oxygen that is replete with, you know, high energy bound charge clusters. You can produce water that will be very vital and be incredibly good for growing plants. All kinds of things would be possible with this. It would basically be energy, materials, transportation, all of the major things you'd want to fix. This would be the technology to do it. And there would be never anything better. Never. Not in this universe. You'd have to change the rules. And I don't mean, you're not allowed to use it because then we wouldn't have to sell you rubbish stuff. Oh, it's definitely owl-like. The owl's there. The owl's there. It's very deliberate. They put the owl in. You have to have a look at the lines that go down here, and then you get the owl. Anyway. Yeah, it's the blueprint for the reactor. That's it. It's done. It's done. That's it. It's the blueprint for ball lightning. Yeah, that's it. In fact, it's the blueprint for you. It's the blueprint for the universe. I wouldn't worry about the pole flips. It's not going to happen in our lifetimes. It's not going to happen for a very, very long time. But you know, that Giza pyramid with a small investment will probably last for, I don't know, until the next major earthquake. I said to Kim earlier in the week, I said, and in fact I was speaking to someone else, I said I don't think there's something more scientifically interesting that I could do in my life beyond what I've shared with you tonight. And there is only this. That's it. It's the secret. It's the secret they never knew they had. But we've been living in usury. We've been living in a terrible, terrible universe. And it's all nonsense. It's all nonsense what we've been having to deal with. I'll go back to the proper level here. So we're going to go like that. We're going to go no. And we're going to go in cones. Yeah. Like that. And is it that one? No. Oh. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Simeon Hain, hi, welcome. Hi, Tucker Point Dexter. So Shadows asked a question, couldn't you reproduce a small scale version? I think this could be produced at any scale. But my view is what Jesus and what other people say, you know, like teach a man to fish, don't give him a fish. We're in a world where we need people that can do this. And I had a couple of people say like, oh, well, can't you just keep this to yourself? And I said, that's where everyone else failed. This was not the advantages I had in my education, the advantages I had with living when I did, the advantages that all of the people did that contributed to get to this understanding were not for one person to go, ooh, me. This is for everyone. It cannot be owned. This is nature. Do you understand? You can't patent this. They're going to try. They'll try. I don't know what they're panicking about at Los Alamos and what they're panicking about at the US Naval Labs to get so excited. But like, they're so far behind you guys. Like, you guys, you know this now. You know, in fact, as far as I'm concerned, you should implicitly know that this is how the Giza pyramid works. It works like this. You should know that it creates a monopole. Monopoles are real. Dirac predicted them. They said in 2014 something that isn't quite as good a model as this is exactly what is a Dirac monopole, and they generated it and nature agrees, right? So we're a little bit beyond that. And the thing is, it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. So what do? Like, the Russians know this. They know this because they're going to have this same video, right? And anyone who bothers to pay attention, that's it. It's done. And you can't do anything other than this. It's what it is. It will never change. Not opinion. You can't vote for this to be different. You can't really, really want it to be different. You have to work with this. You have to work with this. It's a beautiful thing. It is a thing of great beauty. Could you send some of those STL or pics on the Google Drive? So Terra Nathan, I'm going to. There's a couple of errors and I want to fix. Some of the positions of the geometry are not perfect. this is using a line engine. These are actually NURBS curves, and they don't translate well to other systems. But I will publish everything, of course. But it's the easiest thing in the world to just go ahead and do. You know, you can just go into Illustrator and or any number of tools, and you know, it's just two circles. Half radius, two circles again with the points touching. Same big circle with the top on that. Go down there. You know, put your Sothic triangle ratio thing in there, right? You know, it's like it's so simple. The D4D thing here, you know, that's what that is. I'll actually show you a slide from the original O-Day presentation. So this is from late December 2017, early January 2018. And I thought it's going to take a lot of effort to make sure this is true. But here we are. Where is it? Window. These. There. Oh, there we go. This is from January 2018. I can't even remember what slide this is from O-Day. Oh, it's slide 91. This is a slide I've not shared before. I haven't finished it. In fact, I'm going to finish it right now. I'm going to finish it right now. Oh, no, I'm not. This was my question to myself on early January 2019. I had the Acc within the circle, right? 2018, January 2018. And over here, I had the two vortices. This is from Sudan, and this is from South Africa. And so we have the Maltese cross here in the Christ Center. It's slightly in the wrong place, but, you know, they're chopping away at granite there. And this one. And I wanted to ask myself, what was the fountain of youth? Well, there you go. You got it today. There's a fair few other slides. Here's another one from O-Day. This is slide, what is this slide? 83. And so you have the flying disc here with the shape, and this is exactly the shape. It's exactly the shape. It's not guesswork. It's got the Maltese cross in there. It has the structures going around the outside. I don't know how many they've got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, probably 24. 24 is a good number. I think 24 will do it. It'll be stable. We've certainly seen 24 in the collapsed coherent matter wave functions. And he's flying around. He's flying around with his halo on the top. Okay, what do you got? I think this is what Adam's descendants would have quickly discovered to help overcome natural entropy. New Adam came to assure the whole human project. Maybe, but we legitimately can use this technology now because we did not steal it from God. We worked it out, and that is what it says as far as I understand it in the Revelations. So we're allowed to use this. If you're creating, Corky says, Van Gogh saw painting as a kind of religion. It's aligning oneself with creation. Creating happens in art, science, and ethics, not just art. Yes, there are things you can like also in art. There are things that are objectively beautiful, and there are things that are subjectively beautiful. And sometimes it's intangible what those things are, but maybe there's a little bit more tangibility creeping in right now. There we go. So, Rob, that sounds great. I'll be doing more 3D work with this animation share on your Substack. Brilliant. Okay. Thank you very much. So I know some people have built a lot of tours, and so the tours will work. In my view, they will create vacuum currents, and the vacuum currents, can do stuff. I think probably having a ionized hydrogen-rich environment, and I've explained kind of like how you would do that. I actually suggested using the thoriated, thorium sand from Kerala. And I think there would be a way to make a light bulb that permanently glows, essentially, for most of the time the rest of the planet's going to not be engulfed by the sun. Using this technology, that's one thing I'd like to see. Obviously, if you can lift anything with very little energy input, you have all the energy in the world because you can just lift water up onto the top of a mountain and let it run through generators. So, there's many, many ways you can solve most of the intractable problems of the Earth without denuding it. This Earth can support a very large population and not cause a problem for the other animals in the environment, and we just need to respect it. Because it's all powerful. It's all powerful. Oh dear. It's what there is. Taryn Earthling, I've heard of this guy from wherever. Whoever does the work, that's fine. Okay, as long as they're not trying to protect it and keep it for themselves. But anyway, it's done now. They can try and keep it for themselves, but it's nature. You can't patent nature. You can try and pretend it isn't this, but it isn't not. You can smash up all the gravestones on planet Earth. You can destroy all of the wonderful, incredible architecture that is all over the Middle East. But sooner or later, you're going to have to come to terms with the fact that this is how it is. You can make any element you like. You can destroy any toxic stuff you like. You can make toxic stuff into any element you want. I mean, you just got to separate the yin and the yang. One's going to make, one's going to break. If you make more carbon, you can burn it with oxygen that it's made, so you get normal hydrocarbons. That's what's going on in the Earth, making our oil and gas. In my view, it is abiotic. Corky, this ought to revitalize all knowledge. Yes, I think we've got to take a good hard look at ourselves and you know, I'm 50 now, and I have been told a complete lie all of my life. A complete, not just about global climate change nonsense and scarcity nonsense, and you shouldn't have babies because you're going to damage the planet nonsense. You know, you should just, like, you should be using this, and you can only travel 5 kilometers from your house and you can only eat bugs nonsense. Sorry, the usury has to end. I'm not going to call black white. Yes, the world is bipolar. Right? There's a yin and a yang. Get over it. Anything else is fighting nature. Sorry, that is what it is. Do what you want. That's fine. You got your own rights. But the order of the universe is this. That's what it is. That's what it is. The thing is, the more they pack people into cities, they just don't know how beautiful the environment is outside of the city. There are people that literally forget what it's like to be in nature, and it's really awesome. They go, oh, that's a great picture, and then they're just seeing colour on a page. That's no offence to the artists there. Phased array 3D printing, yeah, but Alex, I think probably you can go one better. I think you can literally take this technology and you will literally be able to copy something right the way down to its individual atoms and the arrangement of the electrons in there and just clone something. I'm sorry, I think that's what this can do as well. The only thing I don't think that this can do is take you back in time. It can relatively take you forward in time without aging, but I don't think it can take you back in time. Sound conducts ions. Well, it certainly can arrange ions. You've got to get a thing called ion acoustic waves, and that's present in the supernova reactors where I first observed the ion crenellated spheres, and quite embarrassingly for the first time found out they're hollow with a hole in one of them. I have a lot of respect for the Masons because it's not like they were hiding it. It's right there. It's right there. They weren't hiding it. As I've said for years, it's been in all of our phases, all of our lives. This can be elemental fusion. Sorry, what is being discussed? The power behind low energy nuclear reactions, alchemy, the power behind creation, decreation, teleportation, faster than light travel. It's this structure here. It might sound a little bit mad that is what I'm saying, but it is exactly that. And that structure mapped onto the Pyramid of Giza literally precisely explains why you have granite blocks here and why the ascending great gallery is here, why this chamber is here, why it's over here, why the box is here, why this chamber is down here, why it's offset, absolutely everything. It's so precise. Why it has another chamber up here, why there's a little chamber that comes in here, why you had to have certain thing on the outside. Oh, it's totally precise. It doesn't explain the thing that should be there, that in my view will get the whole reactor running. So yeah, some people have said that the Giza reactor was an HHO generator. Yeah, kind of. Some people have said that it is a hydrogen generator. Some people have said it's a nuclear reactor. Well, it kind of is all of those things, but it does it in a different way. And it's missing a key component that I believe, in a panic, on standing orders, was destroyed. And therefore, it will not work until that's replaced. But other than that, it's ready to go. You just need to put the hydrogen cap on back again and fix up a few nonsense things that are in there, and yeah, good to run again. How do you start the pyramid reactor? Well, like I said, seal it. Very, very nice covering stones. That should be relatively easy. You could probably put a plastic bag over the top. That would be the cheap way to do it. And then Mylar bag. Cover it in a Mylar bag. No, the thing is, it's got to be made of calcium carbonate, actually. So limestone is perfect because of the fact that you've only got the 0.24%. Less than 1/4% are spin isotopes. So they are resistant to the coherent matter. Okay? So there's that. Then you need to make sure it's sealed, apart from two little plugs, which are probably going to be limestone plugs, which you have in these two hydrogen release vents. Then you need water. You should be able to find that from somewhere. And you need granite, radioactive granite blocks, which are available. And I'll share the link to the source there, but you can relatively easily find that. There are good sources of radioactive granite in Egypt. And you just put those into the slots there. That starts the whole process, really. It kind of like, it starts going and then it goes and goes and goes. It just, once it gets up to speed, it starts splitting the water, in my view. The hydrogen and oxygen will come up here. Oxygen sits down the bottom. Hydrogen comes up here, gets properly charged, separated, put into the vortical structure, and goes into a wormhole round here, and it comes out and produces some heavy metal here. And we have literally shared exactly everything that needed to be known about how this reactor works, from physical experiments that are able to be done easily by people that are even half worth the document on which their qualifications are written, and you can use that. That was all made available before the final couple of bits of data came in a couple of days ago, with the publication of the, what I would call the service and monitoring tunnel over on the right here. Which I believe is what is enabling it's this thing here, this little thing, and that completely ties up with the coherent matter there. There's a variety of heavy metals detectable in the rear chamber. Which rear chamber are we talking about here? You mean this, what they laughably call the King's Chamber? So Harry's asking, so the action of sealing. No, the action of sealing stops the hydrogen leaking out. But you will not have any hydrogen in there until you put your water in here and in the slots. So what am I talking about, the slots? This is my video from inside the Grand Gallery. And I noticed a number of things here, but it was a bit weird. There's this slot that comes down here, and it looks like some people hacked some things out of here rather hurriedly, all the way down. And so I think that the key, and literally it goes into this keyway, and it's the key to start the reactor. It might be the case that the upper gallery actually has that in place, but in my view, you need both. It may work to a degree anyway, but really not any interesting level. I think you need the ionizing material in there. We know 100% that uranium decays to cesium. It's one of the fission products. But anyway, it doesn't matter. A ionizing radiation will cause charge clusters. Charge clusters are effectively these structures, but in miniature. and they will end up being able to be aggregated into this overall structure. It's an unbelievably perfect piece of engineering, and whoever left this thought that, you know, this is so freaking obvious that it can't be long, you know, after the flood when people are going to be using this. You know, maybe it'll take them about 5-10 years to work it out. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Grey Car. I think that it may be undamaged. If there's no tunnel to get into the other gallery, I still think the other gallery will have its radioactive granite in there. Yeah, so if you... maybe I can find the paper. Give me a second. I'll see if I can find the paper talking about Egyptian radioactive granites. Give me a second. I think I downloaded it. Let me blah blah blah. It would be a PDF. Wasn't too hard to find. It's not hard to find. I found it yesterday. Maybe I've got it somewhere here. Let me see if I can find it afresh. Yeah, anyway, there's a here's the thing here, like, so Pharaoh's left behind a radioactive curse. Fatal fungi, diabolical booby traps. Some of Egypt's ancient monuments harbour a more insidious threat. They contain high levels of radioactive radon gas, which will come from granite. The highest level, 5,809 becquerels of radon per cubic meter, was in the Sakamkat pyramid at Sagaria, south of Cairo. Nearby, the 1,202 becquerels per cubic meter in the Abyss tunnels, 1,200 becquerels per Serapeum tomb. Okay, radon is produced by the decay of uranium. Okay, so basically they definitely used radioactive granite. And they do have granite that it hasn't got so much radioactivity. But they definitely did use radioactive granite in their construction and indeed in their pyramids. So I rest my case. I think it's pretty sure they did. But it's pretty cool if they're doing it in the way that I'm suggesting, which I think they did. Yeah, the decay. So the document which I will find, it cited thorium and uranium and uranite. Uranium ore was one of the materials that John used in his Hutchison effect. So I'm pretty certain that it does what it says on the tin. So, wheel within a wheel within a wheel. Wheel within a wheel within a wheel. Okay. This is Cairo. This is Cairo. This is the Christ Center. Okay. Okay, I'm going to see if you've got any more questions and then I will go. It's a 3D Halbach array. I don't even know what that is, but maybe. Yeah, thorium would do it. It's passively ionizing the gas. It will do that for billions of years. And the energy only needs to be over 5 electron volts. So, for instance, the thallium-209 beta emission to beta emission or positron emission? Positron emission, I think, to lead 208, is it? No, thallium 208 to lead 208. Maybe I've got that wrong. I think it's that. I think it's 4 point something million electron volts. So that's going to ionize a hell of a lot of protons and properly ionize them to proper charge separation, where they are releasing a lot of cold neutrino clusters, which go straight in and you're off to the races. Yeah, you're aggregating the very small monopoles. Yeah. No, the structures themselves don't rotate. They rotate spin material around them. Okay. And so that's they don't rotate. It's just amazing. This is what was very, very, very clear from the Hutchison fracture sample. It's not rotating itself, it's rotating the spin nuclei around it. Yeah, this is holy. It's holy. Yeah, that's what it is. Like, it demystifies so much. It's like, these are mysteries, but they're not that mysterious. It really isn't that hard. The effort that has gone to keep this from us, it's just gargantuan and also at the same time barbaric. In one moment they're saying, you have to do this, you have to do this, you'd have to do this because end of world, or because whatever, sky falling in or something, and all the time they're keeping on to the solution. Can't give you the solution, can they? Because then we can't charge you for the problems we've created for you. It's so sick. James Vickers, okay, but then what would be the effect of building this into a rotating device be? No, the device doesn't rotate. It rotates stuff around it. So you can make but for an anti-gravity craft, you want a lot of these, and it's defined on the Sumerian tablets in the flying disk of the sky gods. It's 48. It's the same as in the Hutchison sample, and that's the maximum you can have. So it's the most stability, and you just phase the energization, the energy on those individual ones. But here's the thing, as I showed you earlier, you can have a weak effect where this would give you some level of anti-gravity. But if you spun this up, the sphere would go from being would go from being innocuous and not harmful to starting to glow, and then it would go higher and higher energy, and it would go through, red, yellow, through blue, and then at some point it will destroy all matter. It will literally destroy all matter. Conversely, when you're propelling yourself around with this thing, everything will bounce off. You could fire a nuclear weapon at it, not a problem. You could fire a bullet at it, not a problem. Nothing. You could fly underwater, wouldn't make any difference. Trevarb is saying, how does the hydrogen and oxygen separate? Well, I can tell you this. When you take HHO and you create this same structure, it rips matter apart. In one case, it ripped tungsten apart. So in this, where has that gone? Oh, here, yeah. So this is my fractal toroidal transmutations here. Okay, you have the same structure here. This is our sacred geometry, and Vesica Pisces. This is the large circle below makes this loop over here, or one of the circles. But here, down here in the disruption zone, it's ripping this tungsten apart, and it's making, mostly this is diamond that gets left here, carbon film. But it's sucking stuff up into this, and this is the kind of like arm on the Om symbol, and the material gets sucked up here. So once you create these vortices, it's basically gravity decay, you could say. It's gravity decay. It just falls apart. You basically remove the thing that's holding everything together, and it just literally falls apart. So like there's no pressure keeping everything together, and it would rip off the electrons or whatever. So like just matter falls apart. Oh dear, I think I've done all this Pyromandan. I've literally done it all. You have to go back in the presentation. Essentially, this is offset, and I explained in the previous presentation tonight why that's offset, and we've got the physical evidence to show that that is the case in multiple experiments from multiple independent authors. That separates the water that you put down in here. That comes up through this channel, which is all inside the sphere. So that's very, very important that this can continue to operate even when this shield will prevent water from coming down here. Okay, and then it comes up here, and the oxygen settles here. The hydrogen comes up here, and there is this radioactive slats in here, which properly charged separate the material, goes around here, comes round into the upper chamber, and these produce the vortex that goes in here, goes through a wormhole out through here, and then it comes out through this section. And we've shown in experimental evidence that you can do as a 5-year-old in about 20 minutes, and it synthesizes heavier metals here. So, and from this zone, when it's working properly, this will probably emit like a ball lightning glow with a range of different things that ball lightning can do. It uses calcium carbonate because it's extremely resistant to LENR, because it has 3 things which are the products of LENR generally: carbon, oxygen, and calcium, and doesn't really want to go anywhere from there unless you really push it. And they're non-spin isotopes, except for 0.24 of 1% of the matter in every sort of whatever. not a lot. And yeah, so that's it. And this is an exact copy. It turns out it was just hilarious when I and the granite blocks here are to stop people burning their head off, and the and the observation thing here is to just see if it's still active when it's run a bit dry and the light's gone out. And there we go. And so, like, that's it. It's the Eye of Providence, all of the above. Not very complicated when you know how. Could it be used for a self-powering electrolyzer? Yeah, well, you know what? I give it to you. Go forward with it. But, you know, the Egyptians or whoever built this structure here, they definitely thought it would work. They definitely thought it would work. And I'm pretty certain it did. I'm pretty certain it did because, you know, this is real. This did do what it looks like it's doing. It absolutely did. As I said to Alan Goldwater when I saw this for the first time, I said, when people understand this, it will literally melt their brains. It's the God's toolbox. It is right there, and it is what it is. Yeah, exactly, Ret Oracle. If it's only used as a hydrogen generator, it's limitless. Yeah. They should, as I said earlier, I appeal to the international community to stop wasting money on systems that are a complete waste of time, life, and energy, and go and fix the Giza pyramid. When you've got element synthesis, waste disposal, unlimited energy, healing, anti-gravity, faster than light travel, you know, just whatever. I mean, it's like, what can't it do? Anything you would want to do, this is one simple structure, and it will do it all. You just need to put in a bit of effort. Just to put in a bit of effort. It's not like they weren't giving us the answer. Here's the answer. Work backwards. Oh, I'm sure they'll see it as a deadly threat, but there's more of us than them. Yeah, there's definitely a force here. When this is powered up, forget it, mate. You are not getting through here. It's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. So James Vickers say, would it be dangerous, difficult to retrieve the heavier metals it produced inside? Would it build up such metals to prevent it from operating? Look. None of this was guesswork. They know how much water they put down here. They know how much etheric matter it will produce. They know exactly how much metal will go in here. They will know exactly when this light turns off. They will know when they look in here and they observe either no sprites or no ozone or no sulfur smelling, maybe other mechanisms. They could probably poke a long stick in there and see if bits of it disappear. But those are the signals that I would look for, because ball lightning produces sulfur when it explodes or falls apart. It ionizes and produces an ozone-like smell, and it produces little micro ball lightning when it kind of fails. So those were the things that I would be looking for. We've observed the production of sulfur on HHO, which is kind of what's going on in here anyway. And so, you know, the observation area here is below the hydrogen level here. Everything about this design is utterly perfect. It's made from God's perfect structure. And then it is a perfect structure made from God's perfect structure. Okay? There's no two ways about it, right? So when the light goes out, when you know you've put a certain volume in, you then look in here and see if your cues are that this is safe to go up here. You might need to climb up to here and unplug the vents, right? But it might be designed so that the rate of production down here is so high that they can afford to let it leak out here. So it might just be totally so maintenance free. You just look, when you don't see anything, enough hydrogen has gone out here, then all you do is you climb down here, you climb up in here, and you go and collect your heavy metals and come back out again. And you know, I've done potholing. This is not really a big issue. You could probably put your legs on one side and do a chimney walk, which is quite fun actually. And when you come down, it's all gravity assisted, isn't it? So, you know, yeah, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. It's beautiful, simple, megalithic technology, right? And humans could have discovered this. You didn't need aliens. Humans could have discovered this. This probably, if the big land mass existed between India, Madagascar, and Australia, and you know, the Atlanteans could have had this. No problem at all. No problem at all. And we are not the most advanced civilization to have lived on this planet. This, my friends, is 100% certain proof of that. It is only the way it can be. It must be this, right? The mystery schools have been telling us it's this all of our lives, in our faces. It is the monopole, as agreed by Nature, the magazine, and a peer-reviewed paper in 2014. And this, in my view, is a better representation of the structure. I'm sure there will be room for improvement. I probably have got some things wrong, but it's pretty similar. Like, and so, you know, there we go. It's like, what can't you do? We are literally going to be limited only by our imagination. Okay, that's it. And they've already got this as a weapon, so let's just fix things. Trevor, the magnetic energy. So there is energy that comes from the Earth, and the magnetic pole is more about aligning. It's really just to align everything, because you don't only want the breaker to be facing towards north. You also want the alignment of all of your mini exotic vacuum object charge clusters. They all need to be aligned as well, and so that is helped with the magnetic field. So whatever is necessary, I can tell you, whatever is necessary to make this work is precisely made in this device. You don't need to guess. You can reverse engineer it, but you do not need to guess. This already has the answers. It has the answers. Don't need to guess. Why does it do that? Why does it do... Okay, it works, right? Work backwards. Yeah, Red Oracle, that's basically in a nutshell. Magnetic fields, granite, radioactive decay, resonance, and the use of calcium carbonate. And sealing it with the nice good cap. Where can I learn more about the nuclear physics that directs this? Start doing experiments, ultra experiments. Basically, creation happens and decreation happens, and this does it efficiently. Yeah, I'm sure J.R. Tolkien, but like literally, Either no one properly worked it out, or they knew it and they are hiding it from us. I would like to think that it was ignorance and rather than malice. I would like to think it was ignorance rather than malice. And it's not their fault that they were ignorant. It would be their fault if they acted with malice. And so the understanding was passed down from the Atlanteans to the Sumerians, to the Assyrians, to the Akkadians, all the way through. Jesus fixed a lot of the problems with the the Mediterranean cultures and the Asian cultures and the maybe it was John the Baptist or that whole group. There were obviously a lot of very good, clear thinking scholars, and they kind of fixed a lot of those problems. But I'd like to think it just wasn't malice. Literally millions and millions and millions of people watching people suffer needlessly. I can't believe so many humans would have done that and known that they had the solution. I can't believe that. So I have to believe it as ignorance. But we have no excuse now. I don't believe we have any excuse. This is a device. It did what it did, and it's absolutely beautifully made. It cannot be any more beautiful. It is perfection. I think any pyramid would produce the effect, but you would need to work with the resonances and stuff. But it is scalable. It's scalable. This here is doing exactly the same thing, but it isn't a pyramid. This is a self-organized structure. Nature wants to do this so much that it did this in milliseconds on tungsten in a fast-flowing HHO stream, ignited. Now, the ionization came from the burning HHO, okay? Whereas we're looking for cold plasma, cold ionization, using particles, high-energy particles, but they're not thermal. You're not combusting this back to water. You are keeping it as charge-separated protons, electrons, and the etheric matter. Proper charge separation, okay? That is where you want to work with this. Go to our reaction calculator, which is based on initial work by Alexander Parkhomov and programmed by Philip Power, and it's at nanosoft.co.nz. There's a paper linked off there, and you can see what the kind of reactions you would get. But I think people need to do. I would like to do a huge study on ultra experiments with different metals as your starting base, and focusing on the resonant phenomena and seeing what you get produced in these areas here where it dumps the made metals. But all the proof is done. It's just now you've got to implement it. But it's only a realization. It's already perfection in the Giza Great Pyramid. And no, Overwhelmed Games, I already been through this. This is the danger zone. They put those granite blocks in there because you get like a double layer effect here, and you absolutely do not want to be interacting with that thing when it's on its doing its job. Okay, just no reason you would ever want to go close to that. Wonderful, Travab. Okay, so this was a great pleasure for me. This was O'Day, the new dawn of an old age. 6th of March 2023. And I am standing there. I couldn't go there on Christmas Day. This is actually, I think, the 26th of December. Maybe the 27th, 26th, I don't know, I'll check. 2021, and I'm sitting at the Christ Centre there, the Cairo, inside the world's most advanced quantum coherent nuclear reactor. Specifically, it's a vacuum engineering megalithic device. It is personification and proof that we are not the most advanced civilization that has already lived on this earth. We need to get off our arrogance and our high horse. We need to accept that we cannot fight nature, we must work with nature, and that the answer has already been given to us. We don't need to invent something better, we don't need to improve it, it already works. And I believe that this device can provide any amount of energy we need once we understand and get it working again. We should not be wasting our time with any other nonsense. This is the solution. So thank you very much for your time. My name is Bob Green. I'm a volunteer with the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project. Welcome to the new dawn of an old age. It's 0 day.